Have you ever really stopped to think about what's going on inside your phone? I mean, deep down, past all the apps and the notifications, there's this hidden world in there where these invisible battles can be fought without you ever knowing. And today, we're diving into this wild story where one of those battles had a completely unexpected hero.
Okay, so get this. This is where it all starts. A phone, sitting there in airplane mode. It's supposed to be completely offline, right? Cut off from the world. But forensic logs showed something else entirely. It was secretly, actively sending data through 4 separate encrypted tunnels. The user thinks they're totally disconnected, but their phone is having a whole secret conversation. The researchers gave it a pretty cool name, the ghost connection.
And this whole thing really just boils down to one simple, pretty unsettling idea. The device you hold in your hand, the one you trust with everything, it can lie to you. What you see on the screen is not always what's actually happening underneath.
So, you have to wonder, how in the world did anybody figure this out? Well, let's dive into the digital forensics and see just how deep this rabbit hole really goes. Right off the bat, we're not talking about some simple virus you get from a sketchy email. The prime suspect here is what's known as an advanced persistent threat, or an APT. And all the technical evidence points to one of the most notorious ones out there, Pegasus. This isn't just malware. It's basically a state-grade cyber weapon that can take total control of your phone from the very core of its operating system. So when investigators finally got a look at a system log, they found the spyware's fingerprints all over the place. I mean, look at this. It was running almost 400 unauthorized processes deep inside the phone's kernel. That's like the absolute heart of the operating system. It was secretly watching every single keystroke, and it was actively trying to hide, blocking basic diagnostic tools, and even scrambling the timestamps on logs to a date so far in the past it's meaningless, just totally covering its tracks.
Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking the exact same thing I was. Why not just nuke it, do a factory reset, and wipe the whole thing clean, right?
Yeah, well here's the problem. This spyware is unbelievably persistent. It's not just living in the phone's software, it's burrowed into the permanent firmware. That's the stuff that's not supposed to be erased. So as you can see here, when a user tries the deepest possible reset, a nasty little program in that firmware called a bootkit literally blocks it. Then during the setup process that you have to go through, it uses that required USB connection to just reinstall itself. The phone is already compromised again before you even get back to your home screen. It's insane.
But this is where the story gets really weird. An unexpected hero enters the scene. Something that has absolutely nothing to do with cybersecurity.
Meet the digital to analog converter, or DAC. It's this little gadget for audiophiles. You know, people who are really serious about getting the best possible sound quality from their headphones. It just plugs into the USB port and sips a little power to work its magic. Seems totally harmless, right?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How on earth could a simple audio accessory possibly throw a wrench in the gears of one of the most advanced pieces of spyware ever made?
And the answer, it turns out, is a theory they're calling the parasitic conflict. And it's not about hacking the hacker, it's much simpler. It's about creating absolute chaos.
Just think of it like an accidental tug-of-war happening inside your phone. For the spyware to do its job, it needs a really stable, quiet system. It needs reliable network connections, and it needs clean access to things like the microphone. But a high-performance stack, just by doing what it's designed to do, ruins all of that. It hogs resources, it messes with the USB connection, and it generates a ton of electrical noise that basically pollutes the very microphone the spyware is trying to use. This diagram really shows the whole idea perfectly. The DAC isn't actively attacking the spyware, it's not smart, it's just messy. And by being messy, it creates what the researchers call a hostile hardware environment. It's all electrical noise and data traffic jams, just a terrible place for a stealthy piece of malware to try and live.
So let's break that down into 3 main things. First, you've got electrical noise. The DAC's power supply basically backwashes static into the phone, turning any audio the spyware is trying to record into total garbage. Second, you get a data traffic jam. High-quality audio creates this flood of high-priority requests, and the spyware suddenly has to compete for the phone's attention. And third, just plugging the DAC in can cause the whole USB system to reset, which can literally just sever the spyware's hidden network tunnels.
So what happens when you have all this chaos going on? Well, you get a complete system meltdown. It's called a kernel panic. And this quote, from the actual system log, it captures the moment of failure. The spyware and the DAC were fighting so hard for control at such a deep level that one of the phone's processor cores just gave up, triggering a crash that froze everything. The whole system just came to a screeching halt.
So, what can we really take away from this absolutely incredible story of accidental sabotage? What does it all mean?
Now, the obvious question here is, should we all run out and buy a fancy audio DAC as our new secret security weapon?
And the answer, which the researchers are extremely clear about, is absolutely not. And this part is really important. These findings are super preliminary, based on a single case. It would be totally irresponsible to recommend this as an actual security measure. So please, don't.
The real value of the story isn't some new security trick. It's about gaining a new understanding of just how complex and fragile these little ecosystems inside our devices really are.
So, let's just quickly recap what we've learned. First, state-level spyware is terrifyingly good at sticking around. Second, our devices are these little worlds where things we never thought would interact can cause these huge, surprising conflicts. And finally, and maybe most importantly, sometimes the most sophisticated attacks in the world can be brought down by simple, physical, unexpected chaos.
Which really just leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending question to think about. If a simple little music gadget can accidentally cause this much of a headache for a top-tier cyber weapon, what other invisible battles, these little ghost wars, are playing out inside the technology we carry around with us every single day?